Hold on. So the idea is, and tonight is to be able to have a discussion about chiropractic in a way that I show you a case. So everybody's going to be at different pieces and parts of this. I mean, this isn't an introduction. It's a webinar for the people that show up, but show up most of the time. And I'm going to try to give information for everybody. And I could tell you that, if you come from a place where you feel like, wow, this is overwhelming, it's not overwhelming. It's fascinating, actually. Okay? And it's understandable if you, like anything else, just stay with it and breathe and relax and don't get overwhelmed with it because, it used to be overwhelming for me. It's not overwhelming, okay? So we're going to do a little bit of case format tonight. And I always like to talk a little green before we get going, okay? So I'll tell you about, chiropractic. It was, initiated by a tonal guy, D.D. Palmer. And he looked at the whole body, probably similar to the way we do in our philosophy, okay, but not really in the way that we do our art and science anymore, okay. So we look at the human body as one system, and it has had trauma and compensation. And I'm going to ask that you turn your mics off because some of you are messing around with, or you're just moving around and it's coming right through. So if you could just do that and then just turn them back on when you want to have a chat. Okay. So, there's a system over to the right here, and obviously it's had some trauma. And in chiropractic, no different than in medicine, and in the medical model, they would look at this and they say, oh, look at the degeneration down low, and look at this and look at that. And as a chiropractor, we would also say the same thing. And at some level where you were looking, if you did some measurements, if you didn't take x-rays at all, that would be another type of chiropractic, and tons of chiropractors do that, okay? But if you took some x-rays, you would point out the cervical spine over to the top right there and how degenerated it is, and you go, oh my God, and you pull out your charts and you show them the pictures. It's a grade this, that, everything else, and your neck is straight, and blah, 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 and I see you had a lot of dental work, and over on the full spine, you would say, okay, look over here, it's bent this way, it's bent that way, and you got some degeneration in it, and I'm going to go in there, and I'm going to start moving stuff around, and there's a subluxation there. And that's really the conversation that we have, okay, at some level, okay? So that's not the level that I believe D.D. Palmer saw it as. He saw it as a human body and a whole system, and he put a force in, and somebody's hearing came back, and off we went. And we started to say, wow, man, this is a fascinating thing. And we started with, and there's over just, hundreds of procedures. I have no idea how many, okay? Just hundreds of procedures of everybody looking at this thing in some way, but we're all looking at it. Sean? Okay, sorry. Is in this picture is it's had definitely some trauma. It's definitely trying to compensate, and there's a cycle to that, and that's what we have started looking at as QSM3 doctors and chiropractors, and that is really back towards that D.D. Palmer tonal model of how things are related. Okay, I don't know if he asks those questions, but he understood from a philosophical level that the body has a relationship to itself, and there's a nervous system in it. And we've kind of have held that philosophy, but now we don't do that. That's really not what we do. That's not what we teach in school. We teach a segmental model. We teach a bone out of place model. And tonight, I'm going to talk more about this trauma compensation model. And the big thing that I noticed at a really core issue is I used to think that if I would clear that line, we were into anatomy trains and we saw the connections. I said, wow, that's cool. Look at those connections. Okay. But we're not really made that way. We're not just a bunch of connections. We're just this one thing. Okay. And you have to go through all those connections to release one thing, and only one thing really counts at the end of the day, is can you release the neurologic lock on this thing, okay? And the human body is is traumatized. And look at it. I mean, this thing has been damaged all over the place. If this is your car, it wouldn't move, okay? It wouldn't move out of the parking lot. So there is this massive lock in this thing, and the amazing thing is that it actually still stays in motion. Okay, so I express to my patients that when they're standing up and you give them the values of these numbers, is that they actually realize why all that muscle tension is in there. And it's not just, as the massage therapist said, it's my right trap and my left psoas, and I got to weak this. And the one that I love is this thing isn't firing at all. This guy told me that my right psoas is not firing at all. And I said, really, if that was the case, you would not be standing up. You know, I mean, so we have all this stuff that we talk about. And what I look at now is this massive, massive energy that we need to overcome. Okay, that we need to overcome. So it's not a push here and a push there. It is a work through the cervical area, which is the insertions for the whole body. And it's the only three-dimensional place that we can actually release the whole thing. And there's a place where the body gives. Okay? And if we can release the body to a place that it gives, and we can release it upward in a tensigral way, then guess what we have? We have given the body its best ability to do what it knows how to do best, not me. So, see, I don't know the exact way that they want to put this thing together, but I do know that if I can take gravity out of the equation for long enough and get this thing upright as well enough, then it is free and the nervous system is free and it can start organizing itself and helping itself better. Okay? And there's already, you know, the guy at Harvard Weiss Institute, Ingber, that says that, you know, tensigral breakdown causes a, you know, compression in the cells biochemically. You know, and you've heard me say it's not just biochemically, it's one system lower. Okay, or higher you could put it. And that's the energetic system of it. Okay? Because the energy is the spirit world, man. That's the innate world. That's the universal intelligence world. So our purpose is to look at this thing and understand it as one thing, and then say, okay, what is normal? What is abnormal? How do we go about getting this thing out of there? And then when we do something, having a communication system with innate intelligence so it can do one thing. Tell us maybe something that can help us to get this thing like a nail to twist out of the wood as well as possible. Okay? And that conversation is real chiropractic conversation. Okay, at least it's 21st century chiropractic conversation. Okay, so I cannot move. There we go. Okay, here we go. I couldn't move the screen. Okay, so here's a little. Let's make sure I did that right. Sorry, good. Okay. Okay, so sorry about that. I'm getting used to this new setup here, so things are jamming up a little bit. So here's a little trauma physiology 101. All right, and there is the muscle groups that run through the shoulders and into the pelvis. Okay, those are the ones that when we get knocked off center are recruited to really do the job of bringing us back up to center. So we get knocked off center, and the job is really from the pelvis to the shoulders to do that. And it's not really the legs, okay? Because if you look at the legs, they're really made to run straight, okay? That's why we have muscles in the front and the back are much bigger than the side and the middle, and the adductors. The lateral and the adductors are much smaller. The adductors are for stability, okay? The hamstrings and quads are made to move forward. And then you got this TFL, which is, like a tenth of a muscle trying to hold us sideways, okay? So we have a lot of vulnerability sideways, and the pelvis to to the clavicle, and the shoulders are the anchors, kind of, the platforms that are to deal with our motion and our balance, and those are our big postural muscles. And the neck and head are really just to balance the head if the shoulders to the pelvis begin to fail. Okay? And that's a very important conversation because it's going to help us at a great level. It's helped me at a great level move to a much bigger space in working with people since you've been with me last time, maybe at the last conference. Okay? So I want to share that with you tonight. So this is a very important understanding, is that when we look at a posture listing, we really want to understand what's going on that's breaking down what's biomechanically incorrect, okay, from a trauma point of view, between the postural muscles, the pelvis, the spine, and the shoulders, and what is the neck and head telling us that can help us see what things may not be biomechanically correct and failing. And I'll show you what I mean shortly. Okay, so first of all, I'm going to introduce something new, and that is a second biomechanically normal misalignment. Okay, they just have trauma at different places. And the first one, okay, so this is if we've had trauma, we're no longer a pencil in the frontal plane, and we're no longer nice three curves in the sagittal plane. Guess what happens? The body is been traumatized, it's compensated, and once it does that, which is every single person on the planet, it has an ability to compensate and be in a healthy place. That's where we tell our patients they can be, okay, possibly, all right? That sustainable place. And that is, on this one, in number 1, you see it says RR, R3. Let me get my little annotator out. Here's this one right here. And this group right here is the one that we know about, where we have 3 R's on one side, 3 L's on another side, where we got 3 R's and 3 L's opposing, and then either anterior 3 or posterior 3, and so forth and so on. Okay, so this is a normal misalignment where it's balanced, it's sustainable, it's integrated, and the right is going off, and we've got 3 bricks on the right and 3 bricks compensating on the left. It lives between 0 and 3 pounds and 3 millimeters, and I just wrote down all 4 combinations of that, anterior and posterior. Okay, but there is another one, okay? And the first one is, if you look at the picture to the right, okay, and you see the dotted line up here, do you see the annotation that I put, the little red guy right here? Do you guys see that? Hello?
Yes.
Thank you. Okay, so look at the top diagram. This is where the body takes the bend. And you can see the pelvis gets knocked off to the left here. Okay, so it's had some trauma into the left, right to left. And the legs move off center, the pelvis moves off center to the left, and so does the spine. It moves to the left. But at some point, it starts to turn back to put the shoulders over the top, C7, over the top of the glabella, over the L5, S1, something like that, in that area, okay? And that allows the head and neck not to do anything, and we have 2 opposing platforms, and that's this group in number 1, all right? Any questions on that? I've been talking that gig for years. Okay, number 2 is different. This is where we have a trauma below the pelvis and the legs get knocked out, and the pelvis, between the pelvis and the legs in the acetabulum, they are the ones that are the wedge, where in something like this, over here, back on the left-hand side, correct biomechanics, where we have the pelvis drops down on the right, the spine drops down on the right, the shoulder is right, the neck, head and neck are right, okay? And what happens in this is the weight swings out to the left, and we have a beautiful V like the picture on the right side, is where here in this one, this is an RR, L3, A3, A3, RR, okay? Is the legs swing out, they've had trauma, on the left, and through the acetabulum, that's where that wedge is created, and the rest of the body just nicely compensates for the trauma below the pelvis. Any questions? This is probably the most common misalignment out there.
So I have a quick question.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm seeing this. I've got a couple of people, obviously, that I see this in, but I'm not able to get it under the 3 pounds without starting to give them some exercises and stretchers.
Okay.
You have any suggestions on getting that out of there? And also, is this being recorded? Are you able to record this?
Yeah, this is being recorded.
Perfect.
Okay, so Matt, I'm going to answer that question for you tomorrow or the next day if you call me, okay? And the reason is it's because it's way ahead of the conversation of where we are today.
All right. I'll
call you
tomorrow.
Okay.
Yep.
All right. Sorry about that. All right.
No problem.
But I want to stay on the focus of the misalignment and seeing this biomechanics as a normal biomechanics as well. Okay. Great. All right. Okay, so tonight we're going to talk about case study. And we're going to talk about, this is a misalignment I saw today, and I put this together after work today at 3 o'clock on, and here we are today. So I saw this person today, all right? And, you know, any cases of what I want to talk about as far as the stress of what's going on, we can look at any case and do this, and that's what I hope that you're going to be able to do because it's going to help you in your adjustment. So this person came in, and she has a left low pelvis. She has a right fixed point, right spine. She has right 12. She has A15, anterior right shoulder 15, and an anterior right ilium of 14. And she has a right low shoulder and a right low tilting neck and a head turning back to the left. Okay. She came in with a chief complaint of left lateral hip pain and right suboccipital pain. And she's had some headaches and so forth and so on, okay? So just off the bat on this one, she's basically tilting 12 pounds off the center. The configuration is the pelvis and below, or the pelvis is moving to the left, the spine is going to the right, the weight is going to the right, the shoulder is going to the right, the neck is going to the right, and the head is going to the left. So just look at that or draw that up. Do that with your finger. Draw a line in front of your computer screen, okay? Draw it up to the left, and then go right, 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 4 rights, and then go left. And you'll kind of see a Z, correct? You see that? Okay, it's important to see that, okay, at multiple levels. Okay, great. So the first question I would like to know is if on the left-hand side over here is the correct biomechanics of people that are correct biomechanics, is this correct biomechanics? Meaning, is it something that a chiropractor can help them with? And the answer is no, it is not correct biomechanics because it doesn't fit into anything here. Okay? The pattern isn't, the weight isn't, the rotations aren't. Okay? So what does that tell you? Okay, that tells you there's drama. There's drama in the structure. All right, so there's problems, right? So the next question is, and you know, this, I don't think this is a huge important question yet, but I think it's going to bring some interesting things. I just don't have it gelled all the way. Is which category does this fit into? Okay, is if you look at this and you're going to do work, you should have a goal. Yes, you should have a goal.
Yes.
And if you have a goal, because when you go and you touch somebody, okay, I mean, if you're playing golf, you have to know the shot. Okay, it's just not always a driver. Okay, and you're on the tee box. You know, it just ain't happening. All right. So, there is things that change in these things, and the deeper we understand that we see, because we're going to look at the strengths and the weaknesses and so forth and so on. So which goal would you want? Because if you know your goal and you say, I need to release this, and these sectional pieces are attached here, it's going to help you, and that's where we're going to, and those are conversations where we're going to have at Mod 3. Okay, is the application of this conversation tonight, which is just some of the biomechanics that I'm initiated with you. So where do you think it fits?
I want to get it up on the right side.
Huh?
I want to bring up the right side.
Okay, so my question is, which on the left side does this would be your goal, number 1 or number 2? And why?
My goal would be number 1.
Okay, and why? Why not number 2? I mean, that would be, what is it in number 1 that you think is, and this misalignment have in common?
Well, you were talking about one's the pelvis and one's below the pelvis.
Mm-hmm.
So the one above is the pelvis having gone left, everything else going right.
Excellent.
So I'm thinking I want to put the right over onto the left, so it would be more ideally it would be LLLRRR.
Right, but I can say to you, Brad, look at number 2, and look how the pelvis and the weight are on opposite sides.
Right.
I could say to you that happens below the pelvis. You're saying it happens above the pelvis, but I'm saying it could happen above and below the pelvis. You could have a right leg with a left pelvis, and then there's been further damage where the spine and everything else went right and further damage left. That's a possibility, right? I know that's far-fetched, but it's not.
Yeah.
Okay, but I still think you're right. It is number 1.
And the head going left tells me that something's right that needs to be done too.
Okay, fair, and that's a great answer. So you could say that the 3 neurology pieces, the RRL, could be an RRR. That's a good way to look at that. Yes.
Yes.
It's definitely 2 for 2 with what you said.
Right.
Okay, so this right over here could be functional, and the head is just responding to something, and these guys just bent over. So you got this left pelvis. It came up, and it got whacked on the left-hand side, and off it went.
Right.
So it could fit in here. Okay, so we're going to talk about that. I think that's a good possibility. And that helps you look at what you have to do, because if you picked number 2, you wouldn't say, man, I need to get that weight over to the left side, would you? You would say, man, that weight I need to make it smaller, but I like it on the right side, because that would be a normal configuration. These are just conversations of the way to not make you confused, but to actually broaden our awareness of what's going on. Okay? I do the right thing. Yeah. Okay. Any questions? Perfect. Okay, so let's look at the next thing, which I just initiated, and that is the structure-function relationships through this thing. If you could I have a notebook, so I could turn my notebook sideways. Okay, I don't think if I turn it sideways, you're going to see it sideways. Okay, but I could turn this sideways, and that L could be on the bottom, and then that's the first floor, and then the R and the R12, and I can look at it, and I can see that there is a wedge or a kind of a greater than lesser sign called a V, a sideways V, okay, where there are breaks in the pattern here, yes? And you see it between the pelvis and the spine, yes? And you also see it between the neck and the head, correct?
Correct.
So what does that tell you?
2 traumas.
2 traumas?
Or two compensations.
Okay, so what is it? Okay, yeah, 2 compensations. Let's start there. I'm all about that. Okay, 2 compensations. Okay, so we've had something damage here on this left. It's dropped down, and the body started to come up to the right-hand side. But maybe it's gone, and what does this tell you here? It's gone over to the right-hand side, and then it tells you that the head is turning back to the left. Yes?
Yes.
So anytime you have a change in a left to right or a right to left, that is, forget that it may be another trauma, it may be a failure, it is definitely a compensation, okay? And you should look at it as that, okay? Because if you can get that compensation to change, okay, then you can actually help the body the best, okay, by changing that neurologic block, because every compensation is bigger than the structural problem itself. Otherwise, we would have fallen down long ago. So the neurology is stronger than the problem itself. You know, it's kind of like you twist your ankle, right? What's the biggest problem about twisting the ankle? Is the way the body responds. It's the inflammation, right? That's what bogs you down for so long. Okay? So if you can get rid of the inflammation, you know, that's why everybody's about getting rid of the inflammation. Get rid of the inflammation. So the neurology always over responds to the problem, okay, to some degree. Okay? So this person has two neurologic responses, okay? And it has a chief complaint. We're just going to shift a little gear here. It has a chief complaint. Now that you see those wedges, so we have this left, right, 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 left kind of thing, okay? And what we have is left lateral hip pain. Now, why do you think that person has left lateral hip pain now that you're looking at this misalignment as maybe a little bit differently? Why is there hip pain on that left side?
So the body's leaning to the other, top of the rest of it went up the other way.
Okay, so say that in English.
The hip went low left and the body went right.
Thank you. By how much?
By 12 pounds.
Okay, now this is the next question I'm going to ask. Why is it not 30 pounds?
Because the left head is keeping it from falling further.
No, because the left hip is holding it at 12 pounds.
Okay.
So it hurts, and it's tired. Okay, so it's doing something. Okay? So if you look at this x-ray, all this stuff over here, all the way up, you got muscles that attach to their hip and into the ribs and all the way up, man. You know every single one of them, and if you don't, you learned them at one time. And that whole left-hand side is trying to hold that guy up because it's got 4 bricks on the right-hand side. The spine, the weight, the shoulders, and the neck. You got it? And where are they all somewhat anchored? If it's a telephone line, post, here's a post, here's a post, here's a post. There's a million posts all the way to make this thing strong. Where's the bottom? At the platform. Where's the top? At the shoulder. Where are the postural muscles run between? The pelvis. Look at the glutes. They're strong. That's why they're there. The legs stabilize it. That's the V. Okay? The shoulders are the other group. Look at the muscles. That's why they're strong. Okay? Pretty simple. All right? So all those guys are down and they anchor down into that TFL and they're tired. Okay? So what do muscles do? Do they stretch or are they supposed to contract? What is their function?
Contract and fatigue.
Thank you. So they contract, okay? That's what they're made to do. They like to contract. That's what they're made to do. Yeah, they don't want to do it a million times, but they're made to contract, okay? So that being said, it's the fascial unit that's made for the tension, right, to expand, okay, not the muscle system. So when muscles are elongated, they don't like it. That's where they're in pain, okay? So where is the tension here? The tension is on this left side because it's short all on the right. So the tension side is this whole left side trying to hold this up, okay? Now, the neck goes, look at the shoulder. The shoulder goes right, the neck goes right, and what does the head do? It goes left. Okay, now where's the short? The short is here. Where's the long? It's over here. Right suboccipital pain. When muscles are elongated, they're unhappy. So you've got this left hip pain and this right suboccipital pain. She could have said left shoulder pain. She could have said left hip pain. She could have said right trap pain, because that would have just been the opposite of the insertion, right? right? I mean, you have two ends of the spectrum, but you definitely have left postural muscles are engaged and elongated, and right eye balancing muscles are trying to compensate, okay, and they're elongated, okay? Questions? Very cool thing to explain to your patients. Okay, so muscles do not like to be stretched. All right, does everybody see that?
You say the left QL, left hip, is keeping that from going more weight to the right? Is that what you said?
Yeah, so like the QL, TFL, and some glute need.
Okay, and in the past you've talked about the shoulder holding things up. That wouldn't have anything to do with the weight?
That's correct. This shoulder is doing what it can to hold this up, but it's in contraction. There'll be spasm there. Okay, but generally where people are going to have the pain, I'm telling you, I see it well into the 90 percentile. I would say 100, but there's some odd bend, twisting thing that you'll look globally right and it'll be on the left. But I tend to look at if these people have problems on the short side, which would be the right postural muscles and the left eye balancers, those people have disc compression issues, nerve compression issues. Okay.
So massaging and working that left QL might be a problem, right?
That's right. You're actually taking out your game there.
Okay.
And we're going to talk about that. I'm going right there, brother, because I'm going to talk about strengths and weaknesses. That's where we're going. Okay? All right.
Very good.
Okay, pal. All right, so we're cool with that so far. Okay, so here we are. Speak of Dennis. Okay, so what happens is there's been some trauma to this guy where? Where's the trauma been?
Pelvis.
I say right hip.
And in what direction?
Pelvis
right
going
to left.
from right to left.
Pelvis, correct. Okay, so pelvis going right to left, there's been some trauma in here that's driven that pelvis off of center.
Mm-hmm.
Is that correct?
Yes.
I 100% agree there. Okay, and so there is a weakness now where?
On the right side.
That's right. So this right side, okay, is being, and this is you got to understand the way I'm going to say this, okay? And this is just you could the way that you want to speak about this to your patients or to yourself, knock yourself out, okay? Because it's not really a QSM3 language I'm having here. But that X on the right-hand side is going to get tired, okay? And that's what I mean by that. It's going to fatigue, okay? Because it is being asked to do something that it is not made to do, and that is sustain a contraction while somebody is standing up with that left low hip. It's going to get fatigued and it's going to get tired. So the trauma here is we've had this right to left. I know this looks like I use a crayon, but I have to draw it with my mouse. Right to left. Okay. And there is now a weakness that is apparent, and I'm going to say, well, I'll show you why it's apparent in just a moment, that the right QL, okay, and right lateral movers, which is the QL, Dennis nailed it, glute med, and TFL. That little group right there is now going to it's weak right off. When they get to us, it's more than weak. Okay? So it may be stronger than the left side because it's like Serena Williams, tennis arm. She uses it. So that right butt cheek may be stronger, okay? It may be bigger, okay? But it's still too weak for the job. That's what the language you need to hear. It could be bigger, it could be stronger than the left, but it is too weak for the job. How do I know? Because it's off center. If it was vertical, I would know that it's perfect and it was doing its job. 100%. So what else is going on here? What else is weak?
Right neck.
The right neck. Why is the right neck weak?
Because the head's actually. Let me change that. Right.
Yeah.
What's weak is left up,
Trap.
left
Yeah.
trap and scap.
Listen, wherever something is falling away from, the muscles on the other side are not doing their job. Okay?
Right.
So this thing drops off to the left, and at some point the body went ahead, based on Brad's, if you can see this red line, based on what Brad said, it should come up and it should turn and the shoulder should be right. Okay? But we know something's happened because there's weight on the right-hand side. It's gone past its vertical. You can see it's gone past its vertical. I drew it in there. Look at L5 and look at C7. Look at the head. It's way off vertical if you want to think the glabella is supposed to be over it, or C1. It's either C7, C1, or the glabella. One of those three has to be really close to 0. And that's not the case at all. So what has happened is this thing has come up on center, and something's happened. You could say it's been traumatized left to right with a second pop. Is that possible? Sure it is, okay? But there's another possibility that the right shoulder, okay, is starting, or the left shoulder is starting to weaken, and this thing is leaning over there, and it's starting to fall to the right-hand side even further, and gravity's taking it to the right side, okay? Is that possible? That's possible, okay?
Yes.
So either way, just by looking at it, I don't care if it's trauma or fatigue or both, A, B, ABC, or any combination you want, I know that left trap, probably left scap, left upper rib muscles are holding on for dear life. Can you see them? They're holding on for dear life, aren't they? This person is recruiting anything that it can to hold on to that thing, because look at that neck and head, baby. Okay? I mean, that's 25 pounds easy right there. Your head's 15, let's call it 18. Okay? If you're Dennis, it's 22 because of all those brains in there. Okay?
Thanks, Russ.
Away some weight, man. It's got a fair amount of musculature. It's nothing like the postural muscles. Okay? But it's got some poundage. And that left trap is screaming. That rib is screaming. That scap can be screaming. All that kind of stuff. Okay? It's just exhausting.
So is it premature to ask about rehabbing that?
What's that?
Is it premature to ask about rehabbing that left trap?
No, it's not premature, but I'm not going to go over that right now.
Okay, that's premature. Thank you.
Okay, so this is the next conversation. Dennis, I'm busting your chop because this is the conversation. It is, in my office, Sean and Allie, especially Sean, he's that guy. Okay, so you can reach out to him, and he's always redesigning what we do. It's not my thing. I know from I tell them, my patients, I'm the mechanic, they're the neurologists. Okay. So,
Okay, can you put him on then?
No, I can't put him on. You're going to talk to him.
I'm just kidding, Russell. I'm just kidding.
All right. Okay. Okay. So then we see, okay, if we have this weakness here, now we know what we need to strengthen. Okay. And that's what we need to strengthen over here. And we have to have some exercises that are going to help these adductors, okay? And I'm just going to take you a short little break, okay? I know Allie and Sean are listening to this. I'm telling my patients, but I've had multiple knee surgeries, and I have had both my knees are really in trouble. And I go to the gym, and I work, and I'm pushing it, and I'm driving. You guys have seen me adjust. And man, my knees have just been getting more trouble, and even my good knee is now worse than my bad knee. Okay, that was a problem at 20 years old. And I'm in there in the gym. I'm cutting out the gym stuff, some of the things, and I'm doing adduction and abduction. And I'm working, and I'm just getting worse and worse and worse and worse and worse. So I stopped completely, and I started swimming in my pool and literally holding onto a raft and just doing frog leg kicks. I could barely do a lap without pain in my knees and my TFLs. Within 3-4 weeks, I could do 10, 12 laps. All my knee pain is gone. So getting those to isolate those muscles and those lateral muscles and those adductors and getting them to move, and I just frog kick. I go up and I go back and I hold on to the raft, and because I don't use my arms, I have to use my core, my pelvic muscles, and those leg muscles, and that's all I got. and it's been dramatic. And even when I was doing it, and I do it, I have no pain. And then I go backwards too. I get hold onto the raft, put my feet up underneath me, and I kick the other way, and I feel it work more of my anteriors versus my posteriors. So that I will tell you is I wish I could put a pool in everybody's house, because I don't know another way except for that right now too, but that is gold for me. Okay? So anyway, that's the stuff. So we have weaknesses, and we can see from this weakness and from the trauma and the way that the body responds that there's fatigue setting in. Okay? Why is there fatigue setting in? What is the indicator of something that's telling me there's fatigue setting in? Brad already mentioned it.
Collapse.
A secondary, no? Well, that's true. I should say that that's 100% true. Give me a second reason. The collapse of 15 and 14 is the body definitely is collapsed. It can't hold itself up. But the second piece that's fatigue is that there is a second compensation, and the head is turning back the other way. Okay? That is telling me, because if this was a perfect misalignment, so to speak, I mean, it may not be one of the basic patterns, but let's say I've had some trauma to the pelvis and it went off to the left and everything just came up to the right. Okay? I mean, even the spine may be just look a hair right, but it could be a millimeter. But everything was going right, and it was at 3 pounds, and there was 0 to 3 twists. You could have a conversation that thing is compensating nicely. You got a little left, you got a left, you got a right, you got balance. The head or nothing else is bending back, so there's no fatigue. There's 0 to 3 millimeters. In everything, they're coplanar and 0 to 3 pounds. I could have a fair conversation with you that says that's a pretty happy guy. Yes?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay, good. Okay, so I can have that conversation. So with this head, or if the head and neck were turning left and left, then I would say, there's problems. Okay? Because if those eye balancers have to turn back from something of the postural muscles, something in the posture is failing. That's a great statement. Okay? Moving on. If I can get, there we go. Okay, rock on. Okay, so what I found is this conversation is that I can look at this and we can all have a very easy conversation that says this person needs functionally to be opened up on the right and structurally then opened up on the left. Is that fair to say? Okay, so I can go ahead and I can adjust this thing right and then left. Would anybody dispute that? Okay. So that is 100% clear conversation except this conversation. And that is, what is my primary weakness? Just the two
Would
things.
you say left upper?
Yeah, I would. Yeah, I would say that. So what part of the misalignment is the biggest issue for you to address?
Left upper, because of the huge deviation of the neck and head off the vertical axis.
So you want me to make an adjustment on the left side first and blow off the right, correct?
I don't know if they energetically could come back to center.
Okay. So, but it's a fair conversation. Okay. Is there another? Is anybody else want to say anything? Don't be bashful. This is great stuff, man. It's great to have a conversation here.
I would say in this case the head is the secondary compensation. So I might want to go right side first.
Okay.
The whole trunk is leaning right.
Okay, so let me ask you a question. Do I need to fix the head, or do I need to fix the posture first?
Posture.
Thank you. Okay, because if the head is only and the neck are compensating, they're either coming along or they're compensating. Okay? Now, they do give me great value here because they tell me what I just told you. Okay? This right side is falling over. Yes? Does anybody dispute
Correct.
that? The right side's falling over. There's 12 pounds on the right, and I've got of the postural muscles, I've got three against one. okay, of the postural area. 3 against 1. Okay? And then if I add the neck, which is part of the eyes, eye balancers, now I've got 4. Okay, so the right side is falling down. Okay? So the primary issue that I see is you need to help the right side. Okay? And we need to help the right side up. So the question becomes, I have to adjust them on the right. The 2 questions occur. Does it also need the left side? Okay. And if I do the left side, can it handle it? And the only way I know those answers is if I gave you a bunch of posts. Yes? Which is not what we're going to do tonight. But I can tell you that some people, and this can be for a while, and figuring out that they only need this one side can take some time, because that's not something you would jump right into. First of all my new patients I adjust on both sides. Okay? But I can have a conversation, and I would do in this office is my office, I would adjust this person first left, and then I would adjust them right. Okay? Because I'm definitely getting that right side up and out of there last. So if as a new patient, I adjust everybody on the left and I break all the rules. Okay? After I do that and I adjust them on the second visit, if I see what's going on, okay, I probably would adjust this person only on the right side. Okay? So the question becomes, okay, what happens after that? If it blew out, I adjusted only on the right side, and the whole thing fell over, the rotations got bigger, okay, and guess what? I'm going to flip it over, okay? And that's exactly what happened, by the way, okay?
Question.
Yeah.
If you hadn't gone on the left side first, like you said you did,
Right.
then if you saw that you were on the correct side on the right, would you still go back and then do left?
Probably, just because as a new patient, I want to clear out both sides.
Okay.
Because there's not global problems here. In everybody, there's local problems, and people need both sides, and I want to feel what's going on. And the Mod 3 conversation is that, listen, if every single person was healthy and the balloons were all intact, okay, and there was no damage, okay, then I should go into it and the whole thing should expand. Harvey Lillard, one shot in anywhere, boom, it expands everything. But it can't do that because it's damaged.
Right.
Okay? So that neck gives us a 3-dimensional place. It gives us all the insertions, and we can play on both sides, because if there's damage and weakness, those forces can't get on the other side of it and lift up that other side of the weakness, then you're going to have to go with a direct shot on it and flip it over.
Okay.
Okay?
Good.
All right, great. So there's a release sequence that you have to find here, and the posture IQ helps you. The right side helps you with what you could see here, everything that's on the right. The left side helps you with what you see on the left. The real question is what helps the rotations. Okay? And in this person with so much, they've got rotation and breakdown on both sides. Okay? It's breaking down all over the place. This is not a single misalignment with this kind of compression. It's not a single damage because it has 2 compensation, 2 wedges, 2 Vs. Okay? We see the weakness in it. We see the breakdown. We see the neck and head. Okay? The head is turning back, and the tension and compression that's in there, and how the postural muscles are failing. Okay? And we say, hey, this person definitely needs a right release first. After that is where you go with it. Okay? That's not the conversation for tonight. Okay, so you learned something, I believe, if I can get out. There you go. So you can look at these things and look at these misalignments and say, hey, what would I do? Where's the trauma? Where's the weakness? Where do I need to strengthen it? What's the release sequence? What's the primary thing that I at least need to do last on this person? Okay, at least because that's where the weakness is, maybe on the first visit. Okay? But, even in number 1, if this was a first visit patient, I would adjust that first one as well. I would go right, and then I would go, oop, the heck? Sorry about that, guys. Oh, there we go. Sorry. Goes around the circle now. So, yeah, with this one, I mean, if I decided to adjust it right first and then left, and I look at it in between, and after I do the left side, I don't like it, I'm going to go back to the right side. And I learned something on my first visit. It likes the right side. Okay. If I adjusted it, I said, man, I want to definitely lift that thing up right last. I adjust it on the left and I see what it does. Okay. The whole idea is to do something and understand what it's telling you. Okay. And you have to have some validity of why you're doing it. Now, my first visit is different than my other visits. My first visit is to find the weakness, okay, and what it needs. All right, so I want to do that one last. That's not a structure function thing, but it is. I could see that right side, and I'm going to adjust that right side, okay, last. So I would adjust that person to left, right, but I wouldn't do that in general visits, okay? And that's what we're going to discuss, all that stuff at Mod 3 in the application of this. But, you can look at these misalignments, and you'll start seeing where it fails. Look at number 1 compared to number 3. Look at number 1. I mean, this has got, one bend in it. This one's got 1, 2, 3. Where are you going to start? Where's the trauma? Where's the postural muscles? Where the postural muscles are primary are breaking down, okay? You got to be able to take care of that before you take care of the head and neck, but when you're adjusting somebody on that side of wherever you are, you're adjusting the head and neck muscles also, C5 and above. Okay? So the conversation then becomes, out of a Mod 1-2 conversation of an algorithm, is understanding the weaknesses before you even get there and what's primary. And then Nate doesn't have to talk to you as much, and you get to do better work. Okay? So this is what we do, man, is we're having a three-dimensional conversation as best we can of trying to see how the body is, this amazing nervous system, and all it does is try to support itself, okay? It keeps the heart going, and it keeps us standing up, and it uses a whole lot of energy. And the structure of the human body is the largest energy user. And we have the ability to change everything because we are the only ones that are talking structure dictates function. Okay? That's who we are as chiropractors. Who we are as chiropractors in science then deviates. As QSM3 people, we are the only people that are looking at the three-dimensional relationships of the whole body. No one else is. Okay? And that science is using the most current biostructure, biophysiology, which is tensegrity. A couple people say we are tensegral, but they do not have a conversation about this release pattern and understanding trauma normals and where the weaknesses are and how they're breaking down and how, from a structure compensation, structure neurology conversation, that the human body is being traumatized, how it compensates, and how it's weakening with more trauma or more weakness, and how it has to compensate in a three-dimensional conversation. Okay, I have philosophy, science, and philosophy. So it's supposed to be a lot of philosophy tonight, I guess. Double philosophy. Well, that's supposed to be art. That's my first ding, I think, for the night, but I'm going to end with that. And the next thing is the art. Okay, so Mod 1 and Mod 2, we talk about the biomechanics and the philosophy, and we introduce the art. The art then is from that conversation that we had tonight is how do we then set it up differently on placement, and how do we tension the lines and the regions that we want to tension through placement. And I'm going to introduce in Mod 3 a new, and I'll do it at the next conference as well, is there's going to be a TP release and an SP release, and they're different, both of them. Okay? You're going to love it. All right? You're going to love it. Because I'm going to show you how to break that neurologic lock through the TPs and through the placement of it in specific areas and in a rhythm, because that's what I'm doing now. Okay? Using, bending, and adjusting, hopefully, on one side if we can. Okay, so that's that vitalistic picture. Any questions?
So Russell, on that one where the head tilts to your case, would you ever pre-stress that EOP below the BP then on the adjustment?
So I basically, Dennis, perfect. So I have a neutral headpiece now where I start everybody neutral headpiece with their knees bent, and I connect. Once I connect, if two things can happen, okay? I'm either going to raise the headpiece if I'm able to bend on that side. There's only one side that you could bend on, okay? All right, the side opposite head tilt. If I can bend on that side, I'll raise the headpiece, okay? When I'm done bending and releasing the other side, I'll drop the headpiece down, and if there is weight on that side, I'll drop it a little low, and that's where I finish, okay? But that depends on what's going on that side. If the weight's not on that side, I may not use a low headpiece. And then there's the chin position that we use and the leg position. Okay, but you're right on path with talking about that stuff. The stuff that upper cervical work uses to tilt the head and drop the headpiece is actually some of that. It can be used to kind of activate the line so that you can get better tension, because the name of the game is what? You got to take it beyond where it is today. I got to take it beyond where the patient walked in at. And that means that you have to take its attention. And you can't do that with the adjustment. You got to do it with placement. And when you do it with placement, then you can drive your whole body through it. And then through the two different stances, you can pop the thing open faster, hopefully. Hopefully that happens for you guys. Okay, I know it's happened for me. Anyway, that's it. And we are done. End of slideshow. Okay. So have a good evening. And I will, I don't know if I'm going to be doing a webinar next month just because I'm teaching a class, a Mod 3 class. And, but I think we'll probably resume after that. It's not definite, but you'll keep you posted. I'll keep posting on the doctor's forum about this stuff, and that's kind of where we're at. Okay. Anyway, have a good evening, and I appreciate all of you coming by.
Great stuff. Thanks a lot.
Thanks, Rob.